It was a wild and crazy night here in Pittsburgh last night for the Pittsburgh Pro Open Men's Bodybuilding, and we're going to talk about it. Nick Walker, Derek Lunsford, let's go. So going into this contest, I knew that there was going to be a ton of callouts as expected.
In the unforgiving world of bodybuilding, where pain is a constant companion and sacrifice is the language of champions, one man rose beyond flesh and bone to become a living legend. His name? Phil Heath. But to millions, he's known as The Gift. Not because it came easy, but because what he gave to the sport was nothing short of extraordinary. Long before the Sandows, before the roaring crowds, and the legacy etched in golden lights, there was just a young man in Seattle. A college basketball player with hustle in his heart and fire in his soul. The court taught him discipline, but life had carved out a much heavier destiny. One not with hoops and hardwood, but with iron and intensity. When he first stepped into the gym, the clang of plates and the burn of reps didn't intimidate him, they awakened him. Something deeper stirred. In 2003, when he entered his first amateur bodybuilding show, the world saw a glimpse of something rare. Symmetry, size, shape, all in perfect harmony. It was more than muscle, it was sculpture. Each line, each cut, spoke of hours in silence, pushing limits, chasing perfection with ruthless passion. Phil Heath didn't just train, he calculated. Every gram of food, every hour of sleep, every movement was part of a greater vision to become undeniable. In 2011, that vision became reality when he was crowned Mr. Olympia. But he didn't stop. No, true greatness doesn't pause, it pursues more. Over the next 7 years, Phil didn't just defend his title, he elevated the sport. 7 Sandows, 7 years of domination. A reign that tied him with the legendary Arnold Schwarzenegger and brought him within reach of giants like Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney. But greatness never walks without shadows. The critics spoke louder with each win. Too perfect, they said. No struggle. What they didn't see were the early mornings soaked in sweat, the injuries hidden behind smiles, the isolation, the obsession, the mental battles that come when you're not just competing, but expected to win. They didn't see the man lifting while others slept, sacrificing while others celebrated. They only saw the stage. They never saw the grind. In 2018, the unthinkable happened. The king fell. For the first time in years, he was defeated. And with that loss came doubts. Was it over? Was the era of Phil Heath finished? But that's the thing about true champions. They don't just rise when it's easy. They rise when it hurts. They rise when everything says they shouldn't. In 2020, Phil returned to the Olympia stage, not to prove he was invincible, but to prove he was undeniable. He stood tall, not just as a competitor, but as a symbol, a warrior, a man who had climbed the highest peaks, endured the heaviest falls, and still had the fire to rise again. That comeback wasn't just for a trophy, it was for every person who's ever been told, "You're done." For every underdog, every dreamer, every fighter in the shadows, it was Phil saying, "I'm still here, I still matter." His story isn't just about muscle, it's about mastery. It's about the relentless pursuit of something bigger than a medal. It's about becoming a blueprint for belief. He didn't just build a physique, he built a mindset, focused, ruthless, purposeful. Phil Heath became the mirror in which every aspiring bodybuilder now sees themselves. The gift, not because it was easy, but because he gave everything. Body, mind, spirit, and soul to the craft. His physique was legendary, yes, but it was his mindset, the tunnel vision, the calculated fury that set him apart. You can train your body, but building that kind of mental fortress, that's elite, that's rare, that's Phil Heath. And even now, when he's not on the stage, his influence echoes through every gym in the world. You see it in the young kids flexing in the mirror. You hear it in the clank of iron. You feel it in every rep where someone refuses to quit. Phil Heath isn't just part of bodybuilding history, he is history. And his story reminds us, it's not about how many times you win, it's about how many times you rise, in the silence of failure, in the noise of doubt, in the face of pain. Phil rose, and he made it look legendary. So if you're chasing something, if you're hungry, tired, broken, beaten down, remember the gift. Remember the man who never stopped. Not when he was doubted, not when he was dethroned, not when it hurt. He kept going. And so can you. Because Phil Heath didn't just inspire a generation, he challenged them to be better, to be relentless, to be more. He is Phil Heath, the gift, the champion, the standard, the fire that still burns. And this legacy? It's not over. It lives in all of us. Subscribe to Muscle Craze, where legends live. and greatness never dies.